My beloved child, listen carefully, because what you are experiencing is not random, and it is not something that happens to everyone, and that is exactly why it feels so intense, so real, and almost impossible to ignore, because every single night when you close your eyes and drift into that quiet space between reality and the unseen, you find yourself meeting the same person again and again, as if something beyond logic is pulling your soul toward them, and you wake up with their presence still lingering in your heart like a whisper that refuses to fade, and you begin to question everything, because this is not just a dream, this is not just imagination, this is a connection that goes deeper than your conscious mind can understand. And I need you to stay with me until the end, because what I am about to reveal will change the way you see these dreams forever, and it may even shift the way you see that person, because the truth is, when someone appears in your dreams repeatedly, it is not by accident, it is not coincidence, it is a signal, a message, a pull from the spiritual realm, where souls communicate without words, where emotions speak louder than actions, and where truth cannot be hidden behind masks. And the reason this feels so different from any other dream you have ever had is because your soul recognizes something your mind has not yet accepted, and that recognition is powerful, it is undeniable, and it is trying to reach you before you miss something important, because not every connection in this world is meant to be understood through logic. Some are meant to be felt deeply, experienced quietly, and trusted without proof. And right now you are standing in the middle of one of those rare moments where your dreams are not just dreams but a doorway, and on the other side of that doorway is someone whose energy is reaching out to you, whether they realize it or not. And you may have tried to ignore it, you may have told yourself that it means nothing, that it is just your brain replaying memories or creating illusions, but deep down you know that explanation does not satisfy the feeling you carry when you wake up, because there is something about the way they look at you in those dreams, something about the way the moment feels so real, so emotionally charged, that it leaves a mark on your soul. And here is where most people make a mistake: they dismiss these experiences too quickly. They try to rationalize something that is not meant to be reduced to logic, and by doing that, they silence the very message that was meant to guide them. And I don't want you to do that. I want you to pay attention, because there are layers to this that you have not yet uncovered, and each dream is revealing a piece of a bigger truth, and the more it repeats, the louder that truth becomes. And you cannot ignore repetition in the spiritual world, because repetition is emphasis, it is urgency, it is a sign that something is trying to break through your awareness. And if you keep seeing the same person, it means the connection between your energies is active, it is alive, and it is searching for alignment. And that does not always mean this person will walk into your life tomorrow or confess something to you immediately, but it does mean that something is unfolding behind the scenes, something that involves both of you, whether you are aware of it or not. And I need you to understand something even deeper. Sometimes these dreams are not just about the other person, they are about you. They are about your emotional state, your hidden desires, your unspoken fears, and your readiness to receive a connection that could change your life. Because when your soul is preparing for something significant, it begins to send signals through dreams before it manifests in reality, and that preparation can feel confusing, overwhelming, even emotional, because it forces you to confront feelings you may not have fully acknowledged while awake. And that is why these dreams feel so intense, because they bypass your defenses. They go straight to your core and reveal what is truly there. And the person you keep seeing is not just a random face, they are a mirror reflecting something back to you, something important, something that holds meaning in your journey. And here is the part that most people are not ready to hear. Sometimes the person you dream about is also thinking about you on a deeper level. Sometimes their energy is reaching out just as strongly, even if their conscious mind is not fully aware of it, because soul Connections do not require physical communication to exist. They operate on a frequency that goes beyond distance, beyond time, and beyond explanation, and that is why you feel drawn to them even in your sleep, because your soul is responding to a signal that your mind cannot decode yet. And if you keep ignoring it, if you keep brushing it off, you may miss the moment when this connection begins to reveal itself in your waking life. And I don't want that for you. I want you to be aware. I want you to be open. I want you to start noticing the patterns, not just in your dreams but in your daily life, because when something like this begins to happen, it rarely stays confined to the dream world. It starts to bleed into reality through signs, through coincidences, through moments that feel too aligned to be random. And when that happens, you will need to trust yourself more than ever, because the world will try to convince you that it is all in your head, but your heart will tell you otherwise. And your heart is not wrong. Your heart is responding to something real, something meaningful, something that deserves your attention. And I need you to hold on to this feeling, not with desperation but with awareness, because there is a difference between chasing a connection and allowing it to unfold naturally. And right now your role is not to force anything. Your role is to observe, to feel, and to understand what these dreams are trying to show you, because every detail matters. The way they speak to you, the emotions you feel, the environment you are in, all of it is part of a message that is uniquely designed for you. And if you start to look at it closely, you will begin to see patterns. You will begin to understand what your soul is trying to communicate. And once you reach that point, everything will start to make sense in a way that feels almost unbelievable, because clarity always follows awareness. And right now you are being invited into a level of awareness that most people never reach, and that is not something to ignore. That is something to embrace carefully, consciously, and with an open heart, because what you are experiencing is not normal, and that is exactly why it matters so much. And if you stay with this, if you continue to pay attention, if you allow yourself to feel without shutting it down, you will begin to see the truth unfold in ways that will leave you questioning everything you thought you knew about connection, about timing, and about destiny. And when that moment comes, you will realize that these dreams were never just dreams. They were the beginning of something much deeper, something that was always meant to find you. And now that it has, you cannot turn away from it anymore. My beloved child, do not let your guard down now, because what you are about to understand goes even deeper than what you have already felt. And if you thought those dreams were intense before, then prepare yourself, because the truth behind them carries a weight that most people are not ready to face. And that is exactly why you were chosen to experience it this way, because your soul is strong enough to handle what is being revealed, and your spirit has reached a level where it can no longer ignore connections that exist beyond the surface. And I need you to listen closely, because there is something happening behind those repeated dreams that you have not yet fully realized. And it is this: the person you keep seeing is not just appearing randomly. They are appearing at very specific moments in your emotional and spiritual cycle, and that timing is not accidental. It is intentional, it is precise, and it is guided by something greater than your conscious awareness. Because every time your energy shifts, every time your heart opens or closes, every time you begin to question your path or feel uncertain about where you are going, that is when they appear again, almost like a signal, almost like a reminder, almost like something is trying to keep you aligned with a path you cannot yet fully see. And if you go back and think carefully, you will begin to notice this pattern. You will realize that these dreams are not just repeating, they are evolving, they are changing in subtle ways. The conversations feel different, the emotions become stronger, the connection becomes clearer. And that is because this is not a static experience. This is a progression. This is a journey that is unfolding layer by layer, and each dream is taking you one step deeper into a truth that your waking mind is still trying to catch up to. And I know There are moments when you wake up confused, maybe even overwhelmed, wondering why this is happening to you and not to others, why this connection feels so strong when there may be little or no explanation in your real life, and that confusion can make you want to pull away. It can make you want to dismiss everything and pretend it means nothing, but I am telling you right now that would be a mistake, because confusion is often the first sign that you are touching something real, something that goes beyond your current level of understanding. And instead of running from that confusion, you need to lean into it. You need to ask yourself deeper questions. You need to allow yourself to feel without immediately trying to label or control the experience, because the more you try to control it, the more you will block the message that is trying to reach you. And this is where the shift begins. This is where you move from being a passive observer of these dreams to an active participant in understanding them, because there is something you need to know about soul connections. They do not always follow the rules of time, space, or logic. They operate on alignment and readiness, and sometimes one soul awakens to the connection before the other, and that can create a sense of imbalance, a sense of longing, a sense of wondering why things are not happening in the physical world the way they are happening in your dreams. And that can be one of the hardest parts of this journey, because you begin to feel something so real, so undeniable, but you cannot yet see it reflected in your daily life. And that gap between feeling and reality can test your patience, it can test your faith, and it can make you question whether you are imagining everything. But I need you to hold your ground here, because just because something has not manifested yet does not mean it is not real. Some of the most powerful connections begin in silence. They grow in the unseen, and they take time to align in the physical world. And during that time, your role is not to force it into existence. Your role is to prepare yourself emotionally, mentally, and spiritually, so that when the moment does come, you are ready to receive it without fear, without doubt, and without resistance. And that preparation is happening right now through these dreams, because every time you see that person, every time you feel that connection, your soul is being conditioned, your heart is being opened, your awareness is being expanded. And even though it may not feel like it in the moment, you are changing, you are evolving, you are becoming someone who can hold a deeper level of connection. And that is not something that happens overnight. That is something that requires experience, repetition, and emotional growth. And that is exactly what these dreams are providing you, whether you realize it or not. And there is another layer to this that you cannot ignore, and it is this: sometimes these dreams are not just about connection, they are about truth. They are about revealing something that has been hidden either within you or within the other person. And that truth may not always be easy to accept. It may challenge your current beliefs. It may bring up emotions you were not expecting. It may even force you to confront parts of yourself that you have been avoiding. But that is the purpose of growth. That is the purpose of awakening. It is not always comfortable, but it is always necessary. And if you pay attention to what is happening in these dreams, you will begin to notice moments where something feels different, something feels more intense, more revealing, more direct. And those are the moments you need to focus on, because that is where the message is strongest. That is where the truth is trying to come through, and you cannot afford to ignore those moments, because they are guiding you towards something important, something that has the potential to shift your path in a way you cannot yet fully comprehend. And I know there is a part of you that wants clear answers. I know there is a part of you that wants to know exactly what this means, exactly what will happen, exactly when everything will become clear. But this is not that kind of journey. This is not something that can be rushed or forced into a timeline. This is something that unfolds at the pace of your readiness and the alignment of both souls involved. And that requires patience, that requires trust, and most importantly, that requires you to stay present with what you are experiencing right now, without jumping too far ahead or trying to predict the outcome, because the moment you start trying to control the outcome you disconnect from the process, and the process is where all the transformation is happening. And I need you to understand something very clearly: you are not imagining this, you are not creating something out of nothing, you are responding to a real energetic connection that is making itself known to you in the only way it can right now, and that is through your dreams, because your waking mind may not yet be open enough to receive it directly, but your subconscious has no such limitations. Your subconscious recognizes the connection immediately. It allows the interaction to happen without interference, without doubt, and without resistance, and that is why everything feels so much clearer, so much more intense in that dream state, because there are no barriers, there is only truth, and that truth is reaching out to you again and again, asking you to see it, to feel it, and to trust it. And as this continues, as the dreams become more vivid, more frequent, more emotionally charged, you will reach a point where you can no longer deny what is happening. You will reach a point where the connection feels just as real in your waking life as it does in your dreams, and that is when everything begins to shift. That is when the lines between the seen and the unseen start to blur, and that is when you need to be the most grounded, the most aware, and the most open, because that is the moment where this connection can begin to move into your reality in ways that will feel almost unbelievable but deeply right at the same time. And when that moment comes, you will look back at these dreams and you will understand that they were never random, they were never meaningless, they were preparing you, guiding you, and leading you step by step towards something that was always meant to find you. And now you are closer to that moment than you have ever been before, and the only question that remains is whether you are ready to accept it when it finally reveals itself to you. My beloved child, now you are standing at the edge of something that most people never reach, and this is where everything either becomes clear or everything is lost, depending on how you choose to respond to what your soul has been trying to show you, because by now you have felt it too many times to call it coincidence, and you have seen it too clearly to dismiss it as imagination. And yet there is still a part of you that hesitates, there is still a part of you that questions whether you should truly believe in something you cannot fully explain, and that hesitation is the final barrier between you and the truth that has been trying to reach you all along. And I need you to understand something very important: hesitation is natural, but staying in hesitation for too long will cause you to miss the very thing that was meant for you, because opportunities like this do not stay open forever, they appear, they wait, and if they are not recognized, they slowly fade. And I do not want you to reach a point where you look back and realize that you ignored something that was trying so hard to find you, because what you are experiencing now is not just a phase, it is not just a temporary emotional state, it is a calling, it is a pull that is asking you to step into a deeper level of awareness and connection, and that requires courage, that requires you to trust what you feel even when it does not make sense to anyone else, and even when your own mind tries to create doubt and confusion, because your mind is designed to protect you from the unknown, but your soul is designed to guide you toward it. And right now those two forces are in conflict within you. One is telling you to stay safe, to ignore, to move on, while the other is pulling you closer, asking you to pay attention, to feel deeper, and to stop running from something that could change everything. And you cannot follow both at the same time. You must choose, and that choice will define what happens next in your life. Because if you choose to ignore this, if you choose to silence your intuition and convince yourself that these dreams mean nothing, then slowly over time they will begin to fade, the connection will weaken, and what once felt powerful will become distant and unclear, and you will be left with a feeling that something important slipped through your hands without you ever fully understanding what it was. And that kind of regret is not easy to carry, because it lingers, it returns in quiet moments. And it reminds you that you once had access to something rare, something meaningful, and you let it go without even trying to understand it. But if you choose differently, if you choose to trust, if you choose to stay open and to follow the feeling instead of fighting it, then something extraordinary begins to happen. The connection strengthens, the clarity increases, and the path that once felt uncertain begins to reveal itself step by step. And it will not happen all at once. It will not be a sudden, dramatic moment where everything is explained, but it will be a series of small, undeniable signs, moments that align too perfectly to ignore, encounters that feel too familiar to be random, and emotions that confirm what your soul has been trying to tell you all along. And this is where your awareness becomes your greatest strength, because the more present you are, the more you will notice, the more you will understand, and the less you will doubt. And there is something else you need to be prepared for. Because when a connection like this begins to move from the dream world into reality, it can feel overwhelming, it can feel intense, and it can bring up emotions that you were not expecting, because what was once experienced in a controlled dream state now becomes something real, something tangible, and something that requires action. And that is where many people become afraid. That is where they begin to pull back, because reality demands a level of vulnerability that dreams do not. And you may find yourself questioning whether you are ready, whether this is truly what you want, whether you should protect yourself instead of stepping into something that feels so powerful and uncertain at the same time. But I am telling you right now, this is exactly where you need to stand firm. This is exactly where you need to trust everything you have felt up until this point, because you were not brought this far just to turn away at the moment when everything begins to align. And you must remember that not all connections are meant to be easy. Some are meant to challenge you, to push you to grow beyond your current limits, and to transform you into someone who can experience love and connection on a level you have never known before. And that transformation requires courage, it requires honesty, and it requires you to let go of the fear that has been holding you back from fully stepping into your own emotional truth. And yes, there is a possibility that things may not unfold exactly the way you expect. Yes, there is a possibility that the path may be more complicated than you imagined, but that does not change the fact that what you are experiencing is real and meaningful and worthy of your attention. Because even if the outcome is not what you originally envisioned, the growth, the awareness, and the understanding you gain from this experience will shape you in ways that will benefit every part of your life moving forward. And that is something you cannot overlook, because life is not just about reaching a specific outcome, it is about who you become along the way. And right now you are being given an opportunity to become someone who trusts deeply, who feels fully, and who is not afraid to explore connections that go beyond the surface. And that is a rare strength that not everyone develops. And as you continue on this path, as you allow these dreams to guide you instead of confuse you, you will begin to see the bigger picture. You will begin to understand why this person appeared in your life in this way, why the connection had to start in the dream world, and why it unfolded at this exact moment in your journey. And when that understanding arrives, it will not feel forced, it will not feel uncertain, it will feel calm, it will feel clear, and it will feel right in a way that requires no further explanation. And that is how you will know that you have reached the truth that has been waiting for you all along. And when you reach that point, you will no longer question whether these dreams meant something. You will know that they did. You will know that they were the beginning of a connection that was always meant to find you. And you will understand that every moment of confusion, every moment of doubt, and every moment of wonder was leading you to this exact place where everything finally makes sense. And when that happens, there will be no fear, there will be no hesitation, there will only be acceptance and a quiet certainty that what you have experienced is something rare, something powerful, and something that has changed you forever. And now the only thing left for you to do is to step forward without fear and allow what is meant for you to unfold in the way it was always destined to unfold.